to provide your family the eye care you deserve.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show, John Bumgardner with the National Weather Service in Lincoln. Good morning, John. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing well, and yourself?
Doing good. Thanks for asking, and thanks for making time for us. It's good to have you back on the program. And John, just looking at the weather for this week, I was trying to plan my week around what we've got going on for our family and the stuff I want to do and all those things. And man, I'll tell you what, at least the temperatures, I don't know what the rainfall situation's looking like, but those temperatures are going to be awfully mild for August. Give us a quick outlook of what we're looking at this week.
They sure are. Most locations right now are only in the low 70s. We're expecting highs today, not much better than that, mid to maybe upper 70s. We've got a cold front that's swinging through the western part of the state right now. Pretty tightly wrapped surface low over Iowa that'll drag that front through later today. We could have a few thunderstorms ignite along the leading edge of it, but it'll mostly be along and east of I-57, and then maybe just a couple showers between then and tomorrow afternoon. Should dry out going into Wednesday, and then we stay cool with highs tomorrow and Wednesday only in the mid to upper 70s. By Thursday, we start to warm up, but then we have a cold front come through, bringing another 20 to 30% chance of precipitation. And then Friday, pretty seasonable. And finally, towards the weekend, we start to warm up as high pressure builds in. And we could wind up with, by Sunday, heat indices in the triple digits.
So going to warm up for the weekend, it looks like then.
Yes. Yeah, we could end up needing some sort of heat headline if things continue the way they're looking. We've got low 90s in the forecast Saturday and mid 90s by Sunday.
Yeah. So what's going on with these weather systems, John? What's creating this cool week we're embarking on, and then looking at a warmer finish to the week and into the weekend? What's going on? What are we seeing here?
Well, really, the jet stream is just going to sink a little farther towards the south behind an upper trough that moves into the Midwest and Great Lakes region early this week. And then we've got another one right on its heels that'll come into our area Wednesday night into Thursday. And with each one of those troughs, we'll have a cold front. Behind that, we'll get some cool air advection in from the upper Great Lakes and upper Midwest regions.
Very good. So look forward to that. John, before we get into the rest of August, and that'll take us through into September and October, that conversation, but let's get a quick look at the rain from this month, because it just feels like it has been crazy wet to start the month of August. What are we seeing? What are we seeing? What are the numbers telling you there?
You know, it sure has been. This time of year, it's always feast or famine. We had quite the drought to kick off the summer, but we are making it up pretty quickly. So far, Springfield has had 6.17 inches of rain so far this month. Lincoln has observed 5.8, and Peoria has observed 4.53. So each one of those sites is running upwards of 3 to 4 inches. Springfield nearly 5 inches above normal for this far into the month of August. So that should bring us the rest of the way out of the drought and back to normal for the year.
Mm-hmm. You know, the thing about the rain so far in August, and I know Springfield has seen, maybe a little bit different trend. We saw some flash flooding there last week and those sorts of things. But, by and large, John, it feels like these rains have been nice and steady. Really what the doctor ordered, a nice steady rain where we're getting an inch or two over a long period of time rather than an inch or two in about an hour and a half. How about that?
It's been nice. I mean, couldn't have asked for anything better for many of us, especially along and north of I-72. Places a little farther south have not been quite as fortunate. With these systems that have been tracking through our area, it seems like north of the warm frontal boundary and along and north of the low, we get that steady rain that we need. But places a little further south have been less fortunate to have thunderstorms in what we call the warm sector. And some of those locations, like Springfield, for example, last Wednesday needed a flash flood warning because it was coming down quite fast.
Sure. So overall, it sounds like the drought condition is very much improving.
Yes, definitely. The latest update, they update it every Thursday, the U.S. Drought Monitor. It did not take into account Wednesday's rainfall, only up through Tuesday, and that really keeps most of the state in just a D0, which is abnormally dry. The scale goes from nothing to D0, and then at the high end to D4, which is exceptional drought. We were about a month ago mostly in D1 to D2 across central Illinois. So considerable improvement. And I think with this week's update, taking into account last week's rainfall, will probably be anywhere from none to abnormally dry, as opposed to abnormally dry to D1 moderate drought, where we're sitting right now.
Sure. Well, and the question I have then, John, and I was thinking about this last week in preparation for our conversation today. We started July pretty wet. Again, I go back to a lot of those rains in early July were of the quick nature, where we saw a lot of rain in a short amount of time. But August, like you mentioned, it can be feast or famine, where we get a lot of rain or we don't get any rain at all. So what is the next couple of weeks to close out the month tell us? What are the trends for the end of August looking like?
As far as rainfall goes, it doesn't look like there's a particularly strong signal one direction or the other. 6 to 10 days out, the Climate Prediction Center is highlighting a slight bias towards below normal precipitation in the model guidance. And the 8 to 14 is near normal or maybe just slightly below normal. But looking out further, weeks 3 to 4, they're saying really equal chances of below and above normal precipitation. So it probably would be beneficial for parts of the state to dry out a little bit over the next 6 to 10 days, but further out, we don't know. Temperature-wise, it looks like we're going to be pretty warm days 6 to 10, and even 8 to 14, we've got 70 to 80% probabilities for above normal temperatures.
So we're going to warm up, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and unfortunately, August is it's the second warmest month of the year around here. So middle part of the month to see a high likelihood of above normal is somewhat of an indicator we might be dealing with a heat wave.
Interesting stuff. Well, John, as we talk about that, how quickly, if we don't see some rain towards the end of the month and a heat wave rolls through, how quickly could we dry out again? Is that a possibility?
It is. I believe our average this time of year, let me take a check here. Yeah, we normally are averaging about an inch of rain a week. So if we do get under this ridge of high pressure and we get missed by precipitation for a couple weeks, that could start to put us back in the hole. Although fortunately, looking at 20-inch soil moistures, Champaign and Springfield are both right around the climatological mean, or the normal for this time of year. So it should take some time for that to dry back out.
That just tells me that those rains of the last few weeks to start August have just been immensely beneficial. I mean, really has improved the situation quite well.
Absolutely.
Sure. So closing out August, pretty warm, John. I'll tell you what are we looking at for September? What's the September trends telling us?
Oh, looking further out, right now the Climate Prediction Center they're saying equal chances of below, near, and above normal precipitation and temperatures for the fall. So it's really tough to say whether we're going to go in one direction or the other. But hopefully we'll keep up on our precipitation and won't dry out too much between now and harvest time. And we can expect temperatures to start trending down. September is usually quite a bit cooler than August around here. Our average high in August is 84, and September that comes down to, let's see, 79.
Why the uncertainty in the outlooks, John?
You know, I'm not entirely sure what that's driven by. This is a Climate Prediction Center product. They look at ENSO patterns, so what sea surface temperatures in the tropics, and you know, quite a number of things. So that I'm not quite sure what their uncertainty is being driven by, but anything a couple weeks out to months out is tough to nail down, let alone, you know, even tomorrow is hard for us to forecast at the weather office. So.
And I wonder, is El Nino driving some of this?
You know, that could be. We're supposed to flip into an El Nino pattern at some point late this fall or during the winter, and that usually favors a slightly milder than normal winter. But they might not quite know at what point we're going to flip from near normal sea surface temperatures in the tropics to an El Nino, which is above normal sea surface temperatures.
Mm-hmm. Is the transition time into El Nino typically volatile and unpredictable?
You know, I'm not an expert on that, but I know that in the past, just seeing the updates from Climate Prediction Center, it does seem like they struggle to nail down the exact time that there'll be that transition.
What is the transit? Do you know what the transition typically looks like, John?
You know, it's just going from near or below normal sea surface temperatures to above. And I don't know normally how quickly that happens, but I believe it's generally over the course of a couple weeks.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting stuff. John, anything else on the outlooks? Anything on August so far? Anything like that you want to put out there for us?
You know, not that I can think of, aside from just heat safety is an important thing to be aware of going into the upcoming weekend, and especially next week if this ridge builds in as it's expected to, and we end up quite warm again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's talk a little bit about that when we come back, and we'll get maybe a little bit longer term outlook as well, if we can do that as well. John Bumgardner with the National Weather Service in Lincoln is our guest on the phone. More to come with him on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
The start of school is upon us, and your kiddos need to get their school physicals now. CEO Paul Skowron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Call our family medicine clinic now before slots fill up to get your children's physicals scheduled. We're accepting new patients of all ages. Warner Hospital and Health Services Family Medicine Clinic in Clinton is ready to provide your child's school physicals as another way we bring compassionate care close to home.
This is local farm broadcaster Jared White inviting you to visit the Farm Credit Tent at this year's Farm Progress Show in Decatur for lots of things to see and do. Besides free ice-cold bottled water all 3 days, stop by for free live music from Nashville country singer from Lawrenceville, Illinois, Adam Warner. Country singer Adam Warner at the Farm Credit Tent at the Farm Progress Show.
In Paris Island in July, simplify.
Country singer Adam Warner with 4 shows August 29th and 30th at 9, 11, 1, and 3. And then on the last day of the Farm Progress Show, stop by and hear Adam at 10 or 12:30. There will be a $100 cash drawing after each show.
If you don't like the way I'm living, you just leave this one higher.
While you're at the Farm Credit Tent, enter for a chance to win a Kubota zero-turn mower or a Snap-on shop card. It's all inside the Farm Credit Tent at the Farm Progress Show, August 29th through 31st. See you there.
At Bump Chevrolet Buick in Clinton or Farmer City, Our job is to help you solve your transportation needs. This is Scott Baum, both in Clinton or Farmer City. We'll listen and find options if you need a different used car or truck, or we'll give you repair options to keep your car, truck, or SUV safe and trouble-free so you can continue with your busy schedule. If it has to do with transportation, we're here to help. Visit our full-service team today at Clinton or Farmer City. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. John Bumgardner with the National Weather Service in Lincoln, my guest on the phone this morning. John, you mentioned heat safety. It sounds like we're really going to get it scorching here in Central Illinois, or at least the possibility of it. So let's talk heat safety. What does the National Weather Service have to say about this?
Well, heat is one of the leading causes of weather-related deaths every year. Heat and flooding are two of the big ones that don't get talked about as much as some of the more glamorous weather hazards like tornadoes and hurricanes, things like that. So it's something we find very important, especially in the Midwest, where we get those really high dew points this time of year from the crop evapotranspiration. We could end up with heat indices in the triple digits by Sunday, and it doesn't look like there's anything significant that I'm seeing in the models, which would change the pattern going into early next week. So if this does pan out, which Climate Prediction Center is saying 80% chance of above normal temperatures going into days 6 through 10, then we really want people to take frequent breaks in the shade if you have to be outside. And if you can get inside, do that. And just drink plenty of water. A lot of people don't realize quite how much water you need to drink to stay hydrated when you're sweating a lot, but 8 ounces every 20 to 30 minutes if you're outside working hard is good. Sunburns is another thing to stay protected from because it can make it more difficult for your body to stay cool. So wearing sunscreen, wearing a ball cap, things like that can help.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'll drink a bottle of water before I go out, and then, I'll come back in after 20 or 30 minutes, have to go to the bathroom or something. And it's like, oh, I'm dehydrated still. I don't know what I did wrong, but it just seems to be the nature of the beast when the heat rolls in. Just again, John, remind us if folks are just catching us here this morning, just one more time, remind us, when are we expecting that heat? And, what can we expect when the heat arrives? How about those things?
Yeah. Well, we've got this, have a little bit of a change in the upper pattern coming towards late week. We've got a shortwave trough that'll move through Wednesday night into Thursday. And then the models are trying to say we have a ridge of high pressure that's going to quickly build in thereafter. The transition into these patterns can be a little bit difficult to pin down because all it takes is one thunderstorm or complex of storms riding along the edge of the ridge to flatten it and delay its entrance into our region. But at this point, looks like we'll start to feel a little bit warmer by Friday, and then Saturday we'll add a few more degrees, and by Sunday we've got forecast highs in the mid-90s, Monday as well. And we don't forecast that far, but even heading into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, unless something changes, it's looking hot. And so we would just encourage people when we're going to have these 100+ degree heat indices to take frequent breaks if you're outside working, get in the shade, or get inside if you can, drink plenty of water and other hydrating fluids.
Very good. So keep that in mind. And getting into September, John, you mentioned things are looking like equal chances of above or below normal temperatures. So not a lot to go off of there. But how about getting into October, November, that harvest time frame, John? What are we trending towards? What are the outlooks showing?
I wish I could give a clear answer on that. At this point, the Climate Prediction Center, who they normally handle the extended range forecasts, they are saying equal chances of below and above normal precipitation and temperatures. So really tough to nail down. We could end up having sort of an extended summer. I know that's something we ended up with last year, but at this point, it's really tough for us to see beyond 2 or 3 weeks. They've got probabilities for a slight lean in the probabilities towards above normal temperatures to our south, our west, and our east. But this midsection of the country, the Midwest, upper Midwest, Great Lakes region, they've got equal chances. So fortunately, climatological normal this time of year is a high of 84. For example, in Lincoln, that goes down to 79 by September. And then in October, we're down in the lower 70s. So hopefully we'll be cooling off.
No doubt, get that harvest in, and hopefully the rain stays away so we can get the crop out of the ground.
Yes, exactly.
Sure thing. John, a couple of minutes yet still here with you, sir. Anything on your radar, pun intended, if you will, that you want to get to today? Anything that we haven't touched on yet that you want to make sure we're aware of?
Nothing striking is coming to my mind. We'll have a couple thunderstorms around today as a cold front moves through the area, but mainly east of I-57 we'll be concerned about severe potential, and as well as north of I-74 especially. So just be something to be on the alert for. Make sure you've got multiple ways to receive warnings. Behind that cold front, we should dry out, and I just want people to take advantage of that cool weather because it's not going to last forever. We'll be warming up towards the weekend.
Yep, no question about it. Looks like I got the radar pulled up now. Looks like some rain in the Bloomington area, and then you got to go north to the Princeton area, DeKalb and Rockford. Some storms up there this morning. So, though it sounds like it's going to rain a little bit today, but again, we can't have too much of it at this point, given how little we've had here so far this summer. John, I know you mentioned those heat safety tips. Where do folks go for more information on that heat safety stuff? And just to keep up with those, whether there's any warnings or advisories issued, where do we find all that information?
Well, you can get it through NOAA Weather Radio. There's lots of mobile apps, none of which I can really endorse, but they will. Many of them will relay our products. You can also get them from our website, weather.gov/ILX. We'll also be posting to social media. You can find us on Twitter at NWS Lincoln IL. You can find us on Facebook as well, and we'll be advertising some of those heat safety products as well as any headlines we put out. In addition, for heat safety tips, you can find information on ready.gov as well as the American Red Cross.
Very good. Very good. John, always good to talk to you, sir. Thanks for making time for us. I know kind of a busy week at the National Weather Service. Some of you folks are over in Springfield at the State Fair, and so that's left some of you all to man the station back in Lincoln, but we appreciate you making time for us. It's good to have you as always.
You are most welcome. It was my pleasure.
That is, again, John Bumgardner, National Weather Service in Lincoln. Network News is now.
WHOW.
Zero YouTube channel.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn lower, beans higher, wheat trading double-digit lower. September corn 4.7.